The first time we met was at Mar-a-Lago, and this was maybe about 10 years ago. It was before either of us got into the political arena. And we were just enjoying each other's company. And someone says, Rod Stewart just came in. He said, I don't care. This is Ben Carson. I knew what kind of person he was at that point. And, my whole family was with me, my mother. And, it was a Easter program. And he just made sure that we were comfortable and that we were taking care of him, especially wanted to make sure my mother was comfortable. And there were all kinds of celebrities and important people walking around, and he was just trying to make sure that we were comfortable. And that's the kind of person he is. I noticed, the workers, the people who serve the meals, the people who park the cars. He knows those people. Yeah, he knows their names. He knows their families. The same thing at Trump Towers when I went there. And he seems to be a genuinely caring person. It didn't take long before, he knew my family, knew their names. He's just that kind of person, as opposed to the very superficial politicians. We discovered pretty early on in the process that we were very compatible. And I told him that God chose him, that he was going to win. There were a whole bunch of us running. I said, you're going to win because God is going to use you to help save our country. And he did. I had a hard time when I dropped out convincing my followers to go with him. I got a lot of calls, particularly from evangelical leaders, and I just said, no, don't be swayed by all the noise. Look at the policies that this man is putting forth, because we have to save our country.
I actually owe you an apology before we start. I've been very critical about you, how you fight. All through the campaigns, I voted for you because I like policy. Right. I didn't know you as a man. And I think when you don't understand what a man fights for, you can get lost, especially with all the noise we're seeing from fake news, et cetera, who created these pictures from you.
There is noise.
So Gutfeld show's over. Cameras are off. We go backstage, and I expected you to be like every politician or anybody I've ever celebrity I've bodyguarded for, and you met my family. And you talked to my daughter. Mm-hmm. My daughter is 10 years old. Her name is Georgie. You guys talked for 20 minutes. If nobody knew, you could have been her grandfather. And you were talking about her horses and her dreams. And I was sitting there and I was like, I have been so wrong about this man because I never understood why you fight the way you fight. You're a family man. Why do we not hear more about Donald Trump, the father, the grandfather? And I did a deep dive. There are some things you have done that when they say those horrible things like he's Hitler, he's a racist, did they not forget in 1991 what you did with Nelson Mandela? Nelson Mandela and 80 of his constituents were trying to come to the United States.
Yeah.
The United States government wasn't helping him. No one was helping him. You chartered a 727 plane for their entire trip.
Yeah.
But I think it would help a lot of the American people who have been misled, I myself included. Now, listen, I'm voting for you now because of the man you are, not just because of the policies, because not every American will get the opportunity that I had to saw who you were backstage.
I've got the dubious honor of being the only person who's been in the Oval Office who didn't know he was in the Oval Office. So, so I'm in the Oval Office and don't realize I'm in the Oval Office by myself. The door opens, I hear some talking and stuff, and then and in there is, and then I walk in and I'm met by President Trump. Looks at me, walks over, puts his hand out, and the first thing he says to me is, "Thank you for saving American lives." But if you think, if you just park all your opinion or whatever, think about that. I went into that private study. There was no media there. The British government didn't know about it. So in theory, there's absolutely no gain whatsoever for the president. No gain at all. Mm-hmm. But he took time out to thank me for saving Americans. Something to think about.
So I'm like, oh, this must be Fox or something. So I pick up the phone and it's Trump. He's not your standard politician. You know, people accuse him of being mercenary and all this other stuff. You form your own opinion. I know a different guy. I was in it. My wife said, who was that? I said, you're never going to believe it. It was Trump. And we spent like 5 minutes on the phone, and all he wanted to know was how I was doing and if I was going to get through this and if I needed anything. And he said, the minute you're out of there, because you're going to make it through this, because I'm with you, God's with you. He said, I want you to come down from the White House.